Why do women abandon the men who dedicate their entire existence to pleasing them, even when those men give everything they believe love demands? Why is it that the softest hands, the warmest words, and the most loyal hearts are so often the first to be left behind? Why do good men, the ones who sacrifice their dreams to make her happy, find themselves quietly replaced? The answer, as Schopenhauer saw it, hides beneath layers of instinct older than morality itself. Most men believe women leave because they weren't enough, but the reality is harsher and far less personal. Women are not repelled by kindness itself, but by the invisible signals that excessive devotion sends. Nature does not reward good intentions, morality, or fairness. It rewards strength, certainty, and direction. A man who abandons his purpose to orbit a woman unknowingly signals to her deepest biology that he cannot lead. This is not about conscious choice, but about instinct, and Schopenhauer understood this long before psychology gave it language. He believed human beings are not rational agents, but vessels pulled by hidden forces they barely understand. Desire, attraction, and even love are not personal expressions. They are biological strategies of the species, and when a man's identity collapses into his need to be loved, her instincts quietly make the decision to leave. She does not analyze it, she does not plan it, and she does not even fully understand it. To her subconscious, devotion without power signals fragility, and fragility cannot protect life or future. She may like his affection, but she cannot desire a man who abandons himself to earn her approval. The tragedy is that he mistakes her gratitude for attraction until she is already gone. This is where the great illusion begins. Men are taught to believe love is earned through endless sacrifice. They are told that loyalty, patience, and constant giving will secure passion and respect forever. But Schopenhauer saw through the disguise. Attraction is not logical, and nature does not care about fairness. What pulls her heart is polarity, strength, and independence, not the comfort of guaranteed availability. This truth feels cruel because it shatters the narrative men are raised to believe. They are taught that women desire safety above all, but biology defines safety differently than they imagine. For her, safety is not found in endless compromise. It is found in masculine stability and self-possession. A man without his own mission cannot secure her respect, and without respect, desire dies in silence. This does not make women manipulative or heartless. It makes them aligned with survival itself. Schopenhauer's will to live explains this perfectly. Nature uses us, without our consent, to perpetuate life. Love, passion, and devotion are strategies coded into instinct, not gifts of fairness or morality. And when a man abandons his individuality to orbit a woman, he violates the very polarity attraction requires. Women are mirrors. They reflect masculine energy with brutal accuracy. They cannot consciously explain why they lose interest, but their instincts respond long before words do. What men call betrayal is often simply biology signaling incompatibility between energy and survival needs. Her withdrawal is not planned cruelty. It is an ancient system selecting for strength and direction. This is why resentment festers among men who see themselves as good, yet feel discarded like strangers. They believed loyalty alone would earn them lasting passion. But loyalty without authority commands no desire. Schopenhauer understood this paradox. Humans are drawn most to what challenges us, not what submits to us. Kindness without gravity repels, because it collapses the very tension that makes love magnetic. Here lies the silent tragedy of the nice guy. He mistakes compliance for connection. By making a woman the center of his existence, he unintentionally communicates that his life has no weight. He gives her his time, his energy, his dreams, believing it proves his worth, but it destroys the polarity she craves. And biology, indifferent and merciless, withdraws desire where leadership is absent. Schopenhauer's insight goes further. Romantic love itself is an elaborate illusion designed to enslave us. He argued that we believe we choose freely, but the species chooses through us to secure its survival. We are puppets of an unconscious process, confusing instinctive drives for personal intentions. The nice guy, in abandoning his individuality for love, becomes an instrument rather than a man. This is the cruel truth men must face. Women respect direction, not devotion alone. They are drawn to men whose lives hold meaning beyond their relationships, men anchored in something higher. Kindness born of strength captivates. Kindness born of need signals weakness and pushes her away. This is why so many men who did everything right wake up one day to find themselves alone. The good man, who sacrifices his ambitions, passions, and friendships to prioritize a woman, erodes himself silently. The fire that once made him magnetic, the hunger, the purpose, the mystery, dims as he folds into her orbit. Ironically, he destroys the very qualities she first admired by making her his entire identity. She loved the man who had a life. She leaves the man who gave that life away. This reveals a paradox too few men understand. To keep her, you must be willing to lose her. A woman instinctively trusts a man who cannot be swayed by her approval or broken by her rejection. Her deepest security comes not from his constant presence, but from his unshakable alignment with purpose. A man who abandons his path to guarantee love loses both her respect and her attraction. This is not manipulation but survival encoded into feminine psychology. Schopenhauer believed women are designed to seek stability, strength, and continuity of life above all else. This is neither moral nor immoral. It is simply the oldest law of existence at work. A man who ignores this law is crushed beneath forces he doesn't even realize are shaping him. Rejection, therefore, is rarely about not being good enough in the way men believe. It is archetypal, written into the ancient script of attraction and survival. It is played out across cultures, centuries, and generations, repeating endlessly and silently. To be chosen, a man must first choose himself, not in words, but in how he lives. This is the first step Schopenhauer demands of men who seek to understand desire without illusion. You must confront the instincts pulling at you and see love for what it is beneath its disguise. You must stop chasing approval as if it determines your worth, because biology does not negotiate with neediness. A man anchored in himself becomes the kind of man nature selects, not because he chases, but because he leads. Schopenhauer believed that love is the most sophisticated trap ever designed by nature, a beautiful deception disguised as personal freedom. We imagine we choose whom we love, but beneath the surface, the species chooses for us, pulling the strings silently. Desire, passion, and obsession are not acts of individuality but strategies of the will to secure reproduction and survival. The nice guy, unaware of this deeper logic, becomes a pawn in a game he doesn't even know he's playing. A man believes his devotion should make him desirable, yet biology speaks a different language altogether. Women are drawn not to the man who sacrifices himself, but to the man who embodies strength, direction, and independence. Her instincts are ancient, far older than her conscious preferences, and they detect weakness long before her mind does. By giving up his purpose to please her, he signals fragility, and fragility is incompatible with attraction. This does not mean women are cold or calculating. It means they are aligned with nature's oldest code. To Schopenhauer, attraction is not about fairness but efficiency, the pairing of traits that best ensure survival. A woman feels safest with a man whose life has gravity, whose actions reveal a commitment to something beyond her approval. When she senses a man has abandoned himself to orbit her, she instinctively begins to retreat. The paradox is brutal. The more a man gives up of himself to secure her love, the less secure she feels with him. She admires his kindness but loses respect for his absence of direction. And without respect, desire cannot survive. He interprets her withdrawal as betrayal, but biology has already made the decision long before her mind caught up. This silent misalignment between intention and instinct is where countless relationships quietly die. Schopenhauer's insight here is profound. Nature uses love to disguise its agenda, making us complicit without knowing it. What we call soulmates and destiny are illusions designed to make the surrender seem voluntary. A man believes he is acting freely, but he is simply following signals encoded into his deepest drives. The tragedy of the nice guy is that he obeys those drives blindly while thinking he is choosing consciously. A woman's attraction is not unkind, but it is merciless because it serves life, not fairness. She is drawn to men who embody polarity, men anchored in independence and purpose. She cannot sustain desire for a man who trades his identity for proximity, no matter how much she values his heart. In the absence of polarity, relationships collapse into obligation, and passion dies quietly. The nice guy archetype collapses because it violates the very principle that sustains desire: tension. Desire thrives where there is space, where two complete individuals meet as equals rather than fusing into dependence. But the man who abandons his path to orbit hers dissolves the distance that made him attractive in the first place. She does not consciously punish him. She simply no longer feels pulled toward him. This dynamic explains why so many good men feel invisible, misunderstood, and resentful. They believe they did everything right, offered stability, loyalty, and affection, yet were still rejected. What they fail to see is that safety without strength is not safety at all in the language of instinct. Schopenhauer understood that security without vitality registers as weakness, and weakness is deselected. Biology is indifferent to fairness, and understanding this frees men from endless confusion. It is not about being harsh or manipulative. It is about embodying qualities that resonate with survival instincts. Purpose, independence, and inner stability are not optional traits. They are the foundations of attraction itself. When these are absent, devotion becomes suffocating instead of magnetic. This is why trying harder often makes things worse for the nice guy. The more he abandons his boundaries and identity to gain love, the more he erodes her natural desire. She may feel gratitude for his effort, but gratitude is not the same as attraction, and gratitude fades fast. Without polarity, no amount of giving can sustain passion. Biology closes the door quietly but decisively. Schopenhauer saw this as one of life's deepest ironies. We seek happiness in love, yet love enslaves us to the species. We imagine romance as freedom, but it is one of nature's most efficient chains, binding us to instincts we rarely see. Understanding this does not mean rejecting love. It means seeing it clearly without illusion. And once seen clearly, a man can stop sacrificing his essence for a happiness it was never designed to deliver. This does not mean abandoning kindness or affection, but integrating them into strength rather than replacing it. Kindness grounded in sovereignty becomes irresistible because it flows from abundance, not desperation. A man who gives from fullness radiates confidence. A man who gives from emptiness radiates dependence. The difference may seem subtle, but instinct detects it instantly, long before words are spoken. This is why women are drawn to men who live with conviction, not men who merely perform confidence. Authenticity cannot be faked. Biology senses alignment beneath posture, charm, and even wealth. A man without purpose bleeds insecurity, regardless of how carefully he hides it. Her instincts respond to his essence, not his performance, and no strategy can bypass this reality. For Schopenhauer, freedom begins when a man understands this truth and stops confusing love with purpose. Love is beautiful but secondary. It is not the axis upon which a fulfilled life turns. When a man anchors himself in meaning beyond approval, attraction becomes a byproduct rather than an obsession. Ironically, this is the shift that makes him magnetic without chasing. The nice guy archetype dies the moment a man sees through its illusion. He realizes that women do not run from kindness. They run from the absence of sovereignty behind it. He stops trading his mission for temporary validation, and in doing so, restores polarity naturally. And in that restoration, He discovers that love flows strongest where it is least needed. Schopenhauer believed that the greatest tragedy for a man is not rejection itself, but the quiet death of his sovereignty. The nice guy believes love will complete him, yet in surrendering his purpose, he destroys the very polarity that sustains attraction. He confuses devotion with desirability, believing that more giving equals more love. But nature operates on opposite terms. A man who abandons his mission to earn her approval signals weakness, and weakness cannot command desire. This is not cynicism. It is recognition of the biological forces shaping human behavior. Women are not consciously cruel. They are responding to ancient instincts designed for survival. Attraction is not negotiated through promises or sacrifices, but triggered by alignment with primal codes. Her biology listens to what he radiates, not to what he says, and detects strength or its absence before she can explain it. A woman may respect a man's generosity, but respect alone cannot sustain attraction. Without polarity, passion suffocates, no matter how much care, loyalty, or sacrifice he offers. Gratitude can coexist with indifference. Security can coexist with fading desire. She leaves not because she wants to, but because she stops feeling pulled toward him. Schopenhauer saw this tension as central to the human condition. We crave connection, but are ruled by the will to live. Nature does not care about personal happiness. It only cares about survival and reproduction. Romantic passion is the camouflage for this deeper agenda, tricking us into serving the species unconsciously. Understanding this is the first step toward freedom. Not to reject love, but to see it without illusion. The nice guy suffers because he builds his identity around being chosen rather than around who he becomes. He hands over the keys to his worth, making a woman the gatekeeper of his value. But biology cannot reward this surrender. Instinct selects for strength, independence, and leadership. She cannot desire a man who places her at the center of his existence, because it signals he has no center of his own. This is why women gravitate toward men whose lives hold weight beyond romance. They are drawn to men who are grounded in purpose, who pursue meaning beyond relationships. Paradoxically, the less he seeks her validation, the more desirable he becomes in her eyes. Freedom from need is magnetic because it radiates security, abundance, and self-possession. Schopenhauer would argue that true power lies in mastering the forces that seek to enslave you. To see through nature's manipulation is to reclaim control over your drives and illusions. A man cannot resist desire by suppression, but he can transcend it through awareness and alignment with purpose. Once his mission comes first, love becomes an addition, not an identity, and attraction flows naturally. This is the brutal irony. To be loved deeply, a man must be willing to walk away. He must hold his center so firmly that her approval no longer defines his sense of self. She is drawn to the man who can love her fully, but never abandon himself in the process. Dependence repels, sovereignty seduces. It is a law as old as life itself. A man's life collapses when he treats romance as his destination instead of his companion. Without a vision beyond love, he orbits her world, and biology quietly begins to deselect him. The qualities that first drew her in, his ambition, his drive, his independence, dissolve into dependency. And when the polarity dies, desire follows swiftly, leaving confusion and resentment behind. Schopenhauer's medicine is bitter but necessary. You must see the will beneath your choices. The instincts that govern attraction are older than morality, culture, or reason itself. To fight them blindly is to suffer. To understand them is to move strategically within their laws. Freedom begins when you stop begging biology for fairness and start aligning your life with its reality. This does not mean becoming cold or detached, but sovereign. A man rooted in purpose can give love abundantly, because he does not give it to be completed. He offers affection from fullness, not from emptiness, and this difference changes everything. Women are drawn to the energy of a man whose worth is self-sustained, not borrowed. When he leads himself, polarity is restored, and attraction flows without effort. He becomes the gravitational center of his own life, and women are naturally drawn to that orbit. This is not manipulation, it is alignment with the deepest codes of nature itself. To master yourself is to master the dynamics that once left you confused and powerless. The nice guy archetype dissolves when a man stops trying to be chosen and instead becomes undeniable. He does not chase, he builds. He does not beg, he attracts. His mission becomes his anchor, his path, his compass, and his sovereignty, his silent invitation. Women sense this alignment immediately, often before a single word is spoken. Schopenhauer teaches us that freedom is not found in rejecting women, but in transcending compulsion. You cannot control desire, but you can control how you respond to it, where you channel it, and what you serve. When love becomes a conscious choice rather than a biological surrender, everything changes. You stop playing nature's game blindly and begin living as a deliberate, self-directed man. This is the final truth most men avoid. Women do not run from kindness. They run from weakness disguised as kindness. They do not flee love. They flee dependence, fragility, and the absence of a grounded center. Your power lies not in earning approval, but in becoming the man who does not need it to thrive. And paradoxically, this is the man who receives respect, passion, and loyalty effortlessly. If you have reached this point, you already sense the shift happening within you. You are beginning to see beyond illusions, to question the myths you were taught about love and worth. You are waking to the deeper forces at play, forces that shape attraction far beneath conscious awareness. And now you have a choice. Continue orbiting approval or reclaim your place at the center of your own life.